will not allow. It will prevent it from means it will prevent basically.
Rule that every update on issue task should be populated on parent issue record. So, uh,
Okay.
what should we do in this? I mean, what all things we should capture or what?
Okay. So 1 minute. Let me see. Can you repeat the question again? I am not remember basically.
Yeah, every update on issue task should be
Hmm?
populated on parent issue record.
Acha. So in this, na, what you can guys can do, for example, if there is any updation in task issue task table, for example, you change the state, right? You if you are having state field, you have means updated some short description, you have updated some description or any or all the 4 to 5 major fields which you are using. If there is any update on those fields, in that case what you will do, you will put that updates of those fields, mean the value updated values of those fields, you will put on the parent, means on the issue. And where to put them, you can put them, there is a activity, there should be an activity, means there is a whenever you will create a table, there is an activity with every table in ServiceNow. So you can find that activity from form layout, right? So in that form layout, in that activity, you can put all that information which you are getting in the updation of the task of the issue task table, right?
Okay,
So yeah, right. So in this way you have to update your parent table, that okay on the parent, so that any person who is coming on the parent can see that okay, this was the updated done, this was the updates basically on the child, right?
mm-hmm.
This way.
Okay, Praveen, thank you.
So guys, I am going towards the today's topics.
Uh,
Yes, who is this? John.
yeah, Pranshu this side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had one question. Suppose if we want to see the history of what business rule have been applied to a particular incident or something, can we also see that?
Yes, you guys can see that.
Okay. So,
Yes.
okay, sir, I will see how. And one more thing, I was going to the incident table and I saw that when I change the state, like if I change it to resolved any incident, then some fields in the resolution notes become mandatory. So how those settings can be done? By the form design or dictionary? How?
Yes, so that we will cover, I think, in today's session. Let me check the
Okay,
topics.
okay. Thanks.
Okay, today's topics. Slide activate.
Hello, Praveen.
Yes, who is this?
Yeah, actually, I'm Ajay.
Yes,
So I have a query that is there any activity log in ServiceNow?
yes, we have.
Activity log, I mean, what I'm doing, okay, what I'm creating, I'm deleting. So is there any record that we can check?
Yeah, so what happens in two ways here we can do that. One thing is called audit, means there are various ways. So if you are talking about the logging in ServiceNow, so we have a log table actually, and whatever if you are means writing some script somewhere, whether it is in business tool or in script include, sometimes we use log just to print the information, just to see the output, right? In meanwhile in the scripting part, what kind of output we are having, and for debugging purpose as well. So yes, we have a log table in ServiceNow, right? I will show you the log table. So in that log table, using some methods of glide system, we can, like glide system have method gs.log or gs.info, right? Using those methods, we can print or we can put anything in the logs. Later we can see that what is the means what was the output in the script or such kind of thing. A part of it, another way of doing this is the audit. Sometime what happen, we put the audits on our means on our table. What happen, whenever whatever kind of information or whatever thing you are doing on the table, those are captured in the audits, right? and those audits also accessible when you will go on the let me show you guys. There is one more option available as a history. So when you guys will come here, you can see here history, right? So if your table is inherited from the task table specifically, then you will have this means you will have this history here, and you can go here list or calendar, whatever means but how you want it basically in the calendar format or in the list format. You can see here. So old values and new values are here. For example, active does not was not having when this form was created. So means all the fields are here. For example, if I want to check for the category that what different value category was have, so category have only inquiry help. If I will change incident category from inquiry help to software or hardware, for example, then another record will come here. In that record, in that new record, old value will be inquiry help and new value will be software or hardware, which I change. So in this way records are created here in this audit history, right? And you can identify what was the latest value or what was the previous value before this one using the updated time, right? So in this way you can identify what changes has been happened on particular ticket, or what was the previous values of those fields and what was the new values. I think this answer your question, right?
Yeah, Praveen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one more thing, this you explained is about what we create and what activity we are doing in this UI, in this ServiceNow UI. We are creating tables and we are creating business rules.
Okay.
Okay, we are applying dictionary attributes. So, is there any way to record all that into a log? Suppose I'm creating a business rule, okay, and I faced some issue in that, or that business rule not running, didn't run. Okay, so is there any way to log that?
Okay. So yes, so means you are asking for the debugging part, na? I think
Yeah,
so.
suppose I want to create a table, okay, and I created a table. So this application will record this time you have created this table.
Yes, so whenever you will create any table na in ServiceNow, or any kind of configuration part you are creating in ServiceNow, the six fields are out of the box available, and in those six fields you can see when this table was created, who created this field, this particular table or field, right? And when it was last updated, who have last time updated it, how many times it has been updated. All this information is available in every table in ServiceNow. So for example, you are creating a table A. So table A will be, you will create table A from the tables, right? You know there is a left at the left side there is a menu. Let me show you that again. So guys, once you will come here, you will see that tables, right? Not okay. That is a module name actually. So system definition tables. You will come here. In that table, for example, I am creating this account relationship table, so I can see when it was updated, right? I can personalize my list. I can check created, when it was created. I can check who created it, right? I can check when it was updated. I can check who updated it last time, right? So all this information is available. We can see it, so we don't require log at this level because we have basic information of everything. Now you are asking that if there is some issue with the table. So if there is some issue with the table, obviously it will not allow you to create the table. Either it will not allow you to create the table, or or if it is allowing you, then means you don't need the log, right? Because means you are whatever the thing you are doing, that is correct. Now if you want to track a user, that who user created it, so these are the options available here, right? You can go into the history and then you can check it, that who created it, what was the previous value, what was it, as I just show you, right? So from the history, right? So all such things you can do. Is it you are asking?
I was asking it also, but I was asking, suppose I want to create a table. Okay,
Mhm.
but but action was that to fail to create a table.
Uh,
Okay, suppose I'm doing any kind of activity and I
mm.
fail to do it. So is there any log come into service now that will notify us that this user tried to create this and he failed, like that?
Okay, okay. So now out of the box, because let me show you the log table. So this is the system log table of ServiceNow, and right now it have 2,466 entries. Thousands of entries will come here. Thousands of entries per day. Even sometimes lakhs of entries will come here. You can't identify what was your particular log, right? So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened
yeah. I was
in this?
asking for this only.
Uh, so what happened in this way? You can come into this log and you can identify that, means probably, most probably, for everything service now will keep a log here, right? But most of the time, because such use case does not come into picture, right? Because right now from you are thinking just like a developer perspective, but ServiceNow is already very rich in terms of development, right? It does not,
Yeah,
means you will experience that many things you are doing in java.net you will don't do here, right? Apart of it,
right.
if you want to identify, I will again say that there was some issue in the table creation or something like that. So every person who will work on this instance is an admin, right? And an admin have access to log, have access to tables, have access to all the modules, so they can go and they can check that what was the issue. So means if you are admin and your colleague is also admin, so there is no difference between both of you, right? Development,
It's,
whoever who the every person who is doing the development on service now is admin. So there is no difference, there is no hierarchy, whether it is Akash who is CTO, or whether it is Himanshu who is CEO, or whether it is me, right? Everyone is admin, so everyone has similar privileges, right? So what will happen, you can go anytime, you can check the log anytime, you can see what that person was trying to do. Apart of it, we have some transactional data for every user, means whatever kind of transactions you performed earlier, that transaction I can see that this user tried to perform this transaction, it was failed or successful. Such kind of modules are available in service now, but that becomes a little bit advanced topic, right? But most probably for you the place is this log table. Everything is captured here, everything in this log table. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay, clear.
Okay.
And
uh
Praveen, we
yes.
didn't cover dynamic reference qualifiers in advance. So when you'll be uh, teaching us that?
Acha, okay. One minute. I think I written some topics as well.
Praveen, we are unable to hear it.
Yeah, because I have not shared my screen yet. So, for example, I am coming on the incident, or I am coming on the form. Right. So I am here, and I want to see how the reference qualifier works basically, right? So this is the assigned to field, right? Okay, and this assigned to field basically depends upon the assignment group. For example, if I have
Hi, Praveen. Can you increase the font size of your browser?
I didn't get you.
Can you increase the font size of browser? Actually,
Shabazz, do it in full screen. Then you can
Yes, you can
easily see.
can also go into the full screen mode in your Teams. Well, I have increased the size. I have zoomed in my browser. Okay.
No, Praveen, there is no need of zoom.
Okay, so we have assignment group, we have assigned to. So what happens whenever we are working with a reference qualifier, right? For example, so whenever we are working with a reference field, we require a reference qualifier. Why we require a reference qualifier? So that we can cut down the number of records we are seeing here, right? For that purpose, I have to go into the dictionary, configure dictionary. Reference I have chosen here, like group, right? Yeah, coming to advanced view. So now I am in the advanced view, and so basically what I want that all the groups which are coming here should fulfill some condition, and that condition could be, for example, name should be EMPR PacGym honor group, right? So I can change the condition here, whatever the condition I want. For example, name is Empratec PacGym honor group. I will save this record, and what will happen? So this restriction will be imposed on this assignment group field. This is the basic meaning of the reference qualifier, right? Now sometimes some situations comes, and what we have to do sometime, right? Sometimes some situations comes, and what we have to do sometime, that we need some rich kind of thing, or we need to write a script basically. In that case, we have to use advanced. For example, if I will talk about advanced first, so in that case, for example, what I will do, I will pass the complete query, right? I will pass the complete query here, and for that purpose, what I have to do, I have to use JavaScript, inverted JavaScript, inverted commas. So for example, I want all those groups whose type is ITIL. I can directly copy that query from here, and I can paste that query here, right? Apart of it, the same thing I can do using the simple. Now what is the difference between simple and advanced? So that's why I directly means right now I will not show you the example, because before doing any example you have to know that what is the script include. In the dynamic and in the advanced, in both the places we will use the script include. So first we will cover our script include part, then we will cover this part again. But you ask the question, I am telling you the idea behind it. So sometime what happens, so similar condition I can create here using a simple. So why I am using the advanced? For example, consider one more scenario comes, and the scenario is who the logged in person. For example, I am the logged in person, right? System administrator. I have to show all those groups here system administrator is part of, means all those groups will come here in which system administrator is a member, right? So for example, if system administrator is member in group 1, group 2 and group 3, then only 3 groups should come here. Now every person who will come and log in into ServiceNow may be part of different groups. You may be part of 5 groups, I may be part of 2 groups, some other person may be part of 6 groups. So groups will vary. So we can't put a restriction, or we can't fix it, or we can't keep it static that okay, only these groups will come. In that case, you have to run a particular query, right? And to run that query, you have to put a glide record as well. So all that code you will call for from here using the script include. So that complete code you will guys write here. From here, script include will be called, and script include will do its work. So this way, advanced and dynamic is used. So I just tell a scenario to you guys where we will use dynamic and advanced reference qualifier. But yes, before that we will cover the script include part. Okay, so what I told you, is it clear?
Yes, Praveen.
Okay, now I think script include is not written here anywhere. Okay, fine. Now you guys tell me any issue with the script with the business rules, or are you guys clear with the business rules?
Clear for now.
Okay. Now, what happens sometime? For example, so when we were talking about the server side scripting, we talk about few components, and one of the major component was business rule. Second major component in the script include in this server script part is script include. So what is a script include? Let me show you. So you have to guys type here script include. Come here, click here. You will see a list of script includes. Now let me open any of them, and then I will explain you. Okay, so I am opening any one of them for now. Let me open the array. Right. For example, this is my script include. So what is a script include in ServiceNow? A script include is a common place, or is a place where you will put your code, and the code that is utilized at many places. Right, for example, 3 business rules, 5 business rules you are writing, and all those business rules are having some common code, right? What you will do, you will write that common code again and again and again, right? So this is not a good practice. So what you will guys do, you will pick that common code, and you will pick that common code here in script include, right? And this script include you will directly call from any place, right? So this is the idea behind the script include. Now if we talk about the fields of the script include, you are seeing name, API name. So name should be a unique name by which you can identify your script include. API name, again it should be a unique name by which you can again identify your script include, right? Client callable. Now we can create 2 kinds of the script include in ServiceNow. If the type of the script include, you will talk 2 types of the script include in ServiceNow. One is client callable, another is non-client callable script include. So right now the script include you are seeing, it is a non-client callable script include, right? What so difference between non-client callable and client callable is, a client callable script include can be called from a client script, but a non-client script include can't be called from a client script. So we will cover a little bit on the client script once I will complete it with this script include part. So first of all, let concentrate on on a non-client callable script include. So this is a non-client, it is not a client callable script include. So you guys give a name, and API name automatically will come here. Application accessible from, you can skip. Active means this script include is in work, right? Here in this part you will write your script, right? So whatever the code stuff is here, you will write your code here. For example, let me create a new script include, for example. So I'm creating my sample script include. Sample script include, right? Automatically you are seeing that API name comes automatically, right? And you are seeing that this piece of code will come automatically, right? So this piece of code we don't put, ServiceNow automatically throw this piece of code to you guys, and you have to work with this code. Now how to work with this code? So what this code is doing is it basically creating a clone or an object, right, from the class which is a JavaScript library already available in JavaScript, right? And in this script include we will add our function. So guys, you have to learn about the prototype as well, that what is the prototype. So if you guys have learned the JavaScript, you should know the prototype. If you don't know, then go today and learn about the prototype, right? Then we can discuss over the prototype if you guys have some issue or need some clarity. Now what we are basically doing, now we will put functions here inside this class, consider it as a class, right? This sample script inc, and we will start to put our function here. For example, I want to put my function. My first function is, for example, or I can keep a much better name, add. Right. So what I give here, add. It is returning me a string hello, right? Save it. So this way I create a script include, right? Now what I want basically, how to call this script script include. Now this is the next question, how to call it. To call this script include, you have to create an object of this script include. And how to create it? You will go here, and whenever we do any kind of server side scripting or practice, we open this module, the script background, right? Here what I will do, I will create an object of that script include class. Oh, I create the object, and from that object I will call that function, and it will return me some value. So I will print it, and let's say it is getting called or not. Yes, it is, right? This way script include works. You can pass your values. For example, you can pass a comma b, right, and you can return a plus b, just to make sure that it should be a number. You can do parseInt of JavaScript. You guys already know about it, right? So this way means, this way we can use script include. So now consider that there is a particular method, right? And that method contains a common code. For example, common code could be for example, check my child. So you create a common function for that. So means what you guys will do, you will pass your record here. For example, if I will say it, so you pass the record here, or you pass a unique sysID and table name. What will I do? I will put a glide record where? On this table. For example, let's make this more simple. Oh, रुक जाओ, मैं लूंगा. जाओ. So what guys you have to do? You want to check the count of the records in a particular table. So for that, just you need to pass the table name, and then we can have it. (73) is the count of the incidents, right? So this way, many common code or many common functionality you guys can do, right? Or as I told you that you can use the glide aggregate. A part of it you can use the glide record you are using. A part of it you can use the glide aggregate as well. If you are using the glide aggregate, how will you do it? Guys will attach a count aggregate and return jar dot get aggregate and count. It will return you the value again. So means the basic idea you getting what I'm trying to tell you, that the basic thing, you create this a usable function whenever you want to count, the means number of records. This is a simple example. Similar way, many things you want to do, or many reusable code you want to write. So to write a reusable code, this is the best place. So this script include is the best place to write some reusable coding, right? So this is the purpose of the script include. You getting my point, guys?
Yes, Praveen.
Now let's attach it with the advanced reference qualifier. How to attach with the advanced reference qualifier? For example, let me have it advanced. So for example, you are getting my group, means I am a logged in user, and there are many methods using which you can identify my group, or you can directly put a glide record on the, there's another table. I think that is as group. You can check that. For example, if for a particular user, if I will find out, for example, for able tutor, I want to find it out in how many groups able tutor. So able tutor is in application development group and in housekeeping group. So you can put a glide record to this table and you can identify what are the different groups, and you can return them from there, from the scripting group, right? So in this way you can write a proper scripting group. So what I will do now, I am returning that the particular group which is having this SID should come here, right? This way we design a advanced, what we design, basically we design an advanced reference qualifier. You can see Santa Clara is here, right? This is the same society of that particular group, correct? Right, so this is the power of the advanced reference qualifier. Most of the time we don't use dynamic, but yes, I will tell you the dynamic as well. So this is the power of the dynamic, not a dynamic, advanced reference qualifier, right? There are a lot of many scenarios where you guys will use advanced reference qualifier. A part of it in dynamic one, let me give you a brief. Then we will discuss over dynamic later, much more in detail. So when you will go here, there is a module in ServiceNow, dynamic filter options. So here you basically create all those filters which you are able to see there, here in the reference qualifier, right? If you will see here, it is showing you one get group qualifier. Copy it. Let's see what is there in this get group qualifier. Yes, it is here, correct? Let's see what is there. So what it is doing, it is basically calling a script get group qualifier, right, on a particular table, means on the group table it is running and it is available for reference qualifier. So basically this record you have to create first, right? And here in the script part, what you will guys do, if you want to use your dynamic reference qualifier, you can choose the dynamic reference qualifier option here, and the same code, paste it there. Where? Here. It will start to work from here. And then, for example, I will create my this dynamic filter as get group qualifier 1, right? Then what I will do, I will choose here dynamic, I will come here and I will choose my get group qualifier 1. That would be the second record, and it will behave again the same way it was working for the advanced, correct? So this way we basically create a dynamic reference qualifier. But the difference between a dynamic and advanced is, whenever you are creating the dynamic reference qualifier, it is made available, most of the time it is not created basically for the reference qualifier majorly. It is made available for the filter. For example, let me show you. When you guys will come, For example, you seeing here this dynamic caller is dynamic. Me, one of my assignments, one of my approval. So this is the means mostly we create dynamic dynamic filters because those filters are can also come here, right? So these filters can also come here. That's why most of the time, most probably, we create a dynamic filter. So guys, I am not going too much deep right now in the dynamic filter. Just keep concentrated, otherwise you will guys will lose your track. Just don't focus right now on the dynamic. I just tell you we can discuss it later, yeah, at any time. But just discuss on simple advanced for now. Not don't discuss on dynamic. If tomorrow you will say me that you want a half an hour session on dynamic, we can do that. But first be focused on simple and advanced, right? Now, so we have seen what is a script include and we have created the script include, right? Now there will be another use of a script include. So how to use right now the script include we are creating, it is not a client callable script include. This script include we are calling from a reference qualifier, we are calling from a background script, we can call it from similar way, we can call it from a business rule or from some other kind of server side scripting. Now I want to call this script include from a client script, right? So what will happen in this way, in this case, I think you guys all know what is a client script, right? So I already have taken that session. 1 minute, let me connect my charger. So now what I am so let me go again to the incident report. Do you guys have any issue with the client scripts? Do anyone have any issue with the client scripts?
Praveen, we are actually working on business rules only, the assignment part. So I didn't work on client script yet.
Okay. So guys, please stretch your time here and try to practice this part as well. Okay, so but let me show you when as I started, then I will complete it and later we can cover it again if you will guys require. So now, as I told you, there is a one more script include kind of a script include, that is client callable script include. So client callable script include means we want to call that script include from the client script. Do you guys have an idea about the Ajax?
Yeah.
So what is it?
When we want to retrieve some data from server, so on client script, so that's when we use Ajax.
Yes. Correct. So is everyone clear about the idea of Ajax? Why we use Ajax? And I think most of you have used it earlier. It is the most mandatory important thing. So let's consider that I want to call I want to call means similar way. Uh, I am calling these functions from the server side components. I want to call these functions from the client side as well. So in that case, what will happen? I have to use a client script, right? Any kind of client script, I can call this script include, whether it is on load, on change, on submit, on send edit, whatever kind of client script it is. So for example, I am writing here script include. I am creating a onload kind of client script. So when you want to call script include from the client script, then you have to use a glide ajax. There is one more class which works at the client side only, and that class is glide ajax. How it works? In this way. Right, so this is the glide ajax class, and I want whatever my script include, I want to call it from client script. I will give that script include name here. But before that, I am creating a script include which is dedicated to the client only for the client part. Yeah. Once you will click on the client callable, signature will get changed, right? And for example, I am again putting here add, or yes, okay. So for now, I am taking add function. Save it. You include name here on the glide ajax part. Now we have created the object for the glide script for the script include, but how to address the function name, right? So to address the function name, first of all, you have to use a method add param, and in the add param you have to pass sysperm underscore name. This is the mandatory thing. All time you have to do, guys. It. So sysperm underscore name, and you will pass the name of the function here. So you're seeing that there is a difference between calling the script include from server side and calling the script include from client side. Then what you will do, gajax dot getXML. Right, and what will happen, gajax dot getXML, basically here you have to pass a callback function. Example, call me. Do you guys not know about the callback function? Anyone of you know about the callback function? Guys, anyone of you know about the callback?
No, Praveen, no idea.
We can pass a function as argument in another function.
So that is exactly not the callback function. Okay, so callback function means whenever you are done with the means whenever it will done with the calling with calling to the server side, and it will come back. It will call this function. This is called callback function. right? More deeply you can, means guys, you can read by yourself, and if there's confusion you can come back to me, but this is a basic thing about the callback function, right? Now this signature you guys have to, means keep remember, because in this way only it will work. For now it is returning null. Let me check what happened. Maybe there is some misspelled.
Answer word is misspelled. Is that the issue?
Yes, yes. So this way what we do actually, we create a script include, right? Means always you don't need to do this as well, right guys? I was just doing it as a debugging part, otherwise you don't require it. You will require it once you are working in a different application, then you have to do this part, means you have to append a application scope name as well. So what we are doing here, we want to call our script include from the server side part as well, from the client script part as well. So for that purpose we create the script include, we call it as client callable, we make it as client callable, right? And we introduce a function in this script include. This function is returning some value, right? And when we are calling this script include from the client part, then we have to use the glide ajax, and you have to pass the name of this script include, and you have to use this perm underscore name as the first parameter at perm sysp underscore name and the function name. In this way, it will get know that okay, which function you want to call from this script include, right? Then there is a again there is a method to execute it. Get XML is basically the execution, and in that execution you will pass a function call me, which is a callback function. This function will receive in return, it will receive a response, res, and from that response, this is the hierarchy how ServiceNow return the value. So you have to use this hierarchy as it is, right? And you will print the value, or you will use this value, right, guys? So this is the again the major thing, Glide Ajax. So today we covered two important things. One is script include, client callable, non-client callable. One is Glide Ajax, right? So this is the way how we can call a script include part. A part of it, tell me first of all, tell me any doubt. I know that you guys will require practice in it, but any doubt in the explanation, any doubt in the what I told you, you received the same thing what just I said you, or any questions or any doubts right now you have in your mind?
Not now, Praveen.
First, we have to look into this, then we will ask.
We have one doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, at this time we are calling from the client side. Once if we are required from the server side, so there is no need to use this function, Ajax or where Ajax.
So you can't call script include, which is client callable from server side. Both are the different script includes, right?
Okay.
Signature are different.
And
Now,
Praveen, one more. If a script include is client callable, can we call it in server side as well?
No.
Okay, just client.
Yes.
If we can't, then what will happen if we call? It will show me error or some debug.
Yes. Okay, take it right. Okay. Another topic I am going to discuss today's system notification. So whenever you want to notify someone using the emails in ServiceNow, for that, guys, you will use the system notification. Okay. Now, to access the system notification, so for example, you create a record in ServiceNow, you delete a record in ServiceNow, something you do, and after that, whenever you are performing some activity, you want to fire an email from ServiceNow. For that purpose, you use system notification. To access the system notification, you guys have to write here system notification, and here this second module inside email you have to access. Once you will click here, it will take you towards here on this notifications table, right? Here we will create our own notification. For example, I will show you how we can create our new notification. For example, I am seeing incident creation notification. So means whenever some incident is created, some notification should be sent. So incident creation notification. On which table this notification will work? Incident table. When to send this notification? Record inserted or updated. I am not talking about the others. Event is fired or triggered. Just keep focus on record inserted and updated. So I am saying that whenever record is inserted in this incident table, this incident create notification email should be fired. So when record is inserted, and if there is any other condition as well, that record is inserted and created on today, for example, or created on yesterday, such kind of filter if you want to apply, you can apply that filter, otherwise remove it. Now it will say that okay, you have given me the name of the notification, the table on which it will fire. You have tell me that when I should fire this notification, but who will receive this notification, right? So for example, I am putting two users here, Rishabh Agarwal and Praveen Kumar. Both will receive this notification. If you want to send it to a group, you can choose the group from here. So group also have a group email field. So whatever the value in the group email, the email will be sent to those groups at that email of the groups, right? Subscribable. Please skip it for now. Right? I don't want to make it too much complex. Everything. Now, users and groups in fields, also skip it for now. Just remember, if you want to send it from user, select user here. If you want send to some group, select some group here. Correct. What it will contain? Now, yes, this is the important part, that you have choose when to send, you have choose who will receive. Now what it will contain? So it will contain, forget email template for now, just put a subject. For example, hi, your incident was created. Now whatever kind of stuff I want to put here, I can. For example, in bold and italic, hi. It's Praveen Kumar, for example, right? Right, whatever signature you want to put, I put those signature, right? So hi, this is just to inform you. So this way, this will become the body of your email, okay? And if you want to do formatting, so there is a little for some formatting options available here, right? You can do if you want to do some formatting, correct? Now you can save it. And you can preview notification, correct? So this way, this notification will send to Chris, James, Jason, Matthew, Rishabh Agarwal, Praveen Kumar. These are the persons who are from the group, and these are the persons which I choose, which I select from the users box. Subject, I put hi, your incident was created. So it is showing a sample copy, correct? So this way, how we can configure a email notification on a table in service. Now, whenever now I will create a new button, okay, and I will create a new button, means I will create a new incident in service. Now my email fired. One minute. Here is my email notification. Yes, this is a notification, right? So what I do, I create a notification, attach a table on it. I give all the fields, that what should be the body, who will receive it, when to send, right? Let me just check that this user have email ID or not, Praveen.Kumar. Because obviously the user should have email ID. Yes, Praveen@office.com. right? So create a new record, save it. Now let's check that our email was fired or not. So again, for that we can check it in the logs. Go to system logs and emails. See here that are, let's open these. It might take some time. Yes. You can see our email here. Hi, your incident was created. Right, guys? So this was the email. Right, guys? So you can see your notification here, and you can come here, preview HTML body. So this was your notification, right? So we configure this notification, and just to confirm, we come here, we confirm that yes, our notification was created, right? So this way you can set up a notification and you can confirm that it is means it is created or not. Now I can check my personal email ID. This should be available in my personal email ID as well. It may take some time, guys. One more important thing, whenever you are setting up the notification, always look one thing. Here is the email properties, right? Go here on the email properties and confirm you have enabled the email setting from the instance or not. I have not enabled it, that's why I did not receive any notification. You will make it yes, you will save it, and you will receive the notification, right? So this is the basic setup of system notification, though there are some advanced concept also in system notification, but I will not cover it today. I think today is sufficient, right? Now let me know, tell me any issue, any confusion, or you guys will practice. I think then confusions will come, but for now, any doubt in the explanations, tell me.
No,
Guys,
Praveen, not